Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this World Council of Credit Unions and Feathrr virtual event, Credit Unions in the Digital Age. My name is Greg Newman, Director of Communications for World Council. The average person is spending more than half of their waking hours online, 8 hours each day, and that number goes higher the younger the demographic is. This is a major sign the world has already changed dramatically over the last 10 years, and the need for more effective, trackable, and measurable digital engagement was accelerated even more by the pandemic. Many credit unions are behind the curve on adopting modern marketing strategies that would aid their growth and help them appeal to a broader and younger prospect pool. This World Council of Credit Unions webinar, presented in conjunction with Feathrr, will feature a brief presentation regarding the various digital channels available to credit unions, and then we'll have a panel discussion with industry professionals who have taken steps to incorporate digital strategies into their marketing plans. They'll discuss successes, failures, results, and the data you get with this kind of marketing. If you have any questions during today's presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A button that's on the bottom of your screen. Type your questions in there, and we'll be asking those questions of this panel as time allows. I'm happy now to introduce Jeff Rose. He is the Director of Enterprise Partnerships with Feathrr, to take it from here. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. We'll jump into this, and I'm going to apologize in advance because we are about to do an absolutely breakneck review of all of the digital advertising channels available. It's going to be fast paced so we can get into the real life use cases. And most of you are likely familiar with some, if not all of these, but it struck me that a quick review of these things would be helpful as kind of a level set. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. If y'all could, I don't know, confirm somehow, that would be great. Shoot me a message if it's not sharing. But first, a quick little introduction to Feathrr. We are a digital marketing software platform. We make it easy, affordable, and effective for organizations to do their own digital marketing in-house. Sometimes they get a little help from our pros. We work with about 1,000 nonprofit and membership-based organizations, or I should say not-for-profits as well, currently. So our platform combines powerful web analytics with digital advertising, influencer marketing, and email marketing capabilities. So let's get into the grits, as they say here in the South. It is useful to bucket the various different digital channels into really what we call the 3 Ps of digital advertising. So you've got programmatic advertising, you've got paid search, you've got paid social. All of these things make up essentially the different channels that you can leverage. As Greg already said, the idea here is that people are spending half their waking hours online. This figure is from 2020, right, when we kicked off the pandemic. This has only climbed over the last 2 years. Has it been 2 years? Wow. So the idea is, if you are not reaching people online, you are missing an absolutely essential channel for your growth. So we're going to go through the various different ways that you can reach folks. First is programmatic advertising, which is where most of my proficiency lies. So each section, we're going to start off with some clarifying vocabulary. Programmatic advertising is essentially an advertiser setting criteria so they can put ads in front of people as they're moving about the consumer web. This is powered by real-time bidding, which is essentially an auction process that happens every time a digital property loads that you're about to look at that has ad inventory on it. And that real-time bidding determines whose ad gets shown to the user. The purchase of this ad space is done on a CPM basis, so cost per 1,000 ad impressions is the traditional model, and that can vary depending on the quality of the ad inventory and things like that. What most of us are familiar with in programmatic advertising is retargeting. This has been around for about 15 years, right? You go to Amazon, you look at a pair of shoes, that pair of shoes follows you to the news, the weather, maybe your March Madness bracket, right? Wherever you're going online. The real-time bidding process is powered by tracking technology, cookies right now, although that will likely be changing in the next 5 to 10 years. What that does is track the user that you've seen give some kind of intent signal. In this case, look at a pair of shoes and say, hey, when they go to New York Times or weather.com or a food blog, whatever it is, I'm willing to pay money to put that ad in front of them. So here's our little bird auction going on here. This is Amazon bidding and saying, hey, I want that ad space. And that's how this is powered, right? If you win the bid, you get to put an ad in front of that person. There are a lot of different units available in this kind of advertising. There are the push down ads, the display ads, native ads, pre-roll, a lot of different opportunities to do an engaging advertisement to the user. So that was retargeting, right? The premise of retargeting is someone comes to a digital property that you control and can track on, and you advertise to them after they leave based on an action that they have or have not taken, for that matter. So a couple of examples of this: Florida Credit Union was tracking folks who looked at holiday adventures, right? And they're putting ads in front of folks when they're checking the weather and saying, come back, we've got better banking, or finish your application if you started it, that kind of thing. Same goes for them looking at mortgages, right? Here's an ad on Washington Post serving ads to folks who looked at the mortgage portion of their website. So that's the idea. The intent signal is, what did they look at on my website? And if we don't see them do something like complete an application, probably behooves you to advertise to those people and see if you can get them to come back and do that. Couple of other different ways to reach folks via programmatic advertising. You don't have to wait till someone hits your website to put ads in front of them as they're moving about the consumer web. You can do it simply by having their email. And this is called email list matching, or sometimes CRM retargeting. Essentially, it's putting the kind of advertisements that I just showed you in front of folks based on having their email, right? Geofencing is another popular programmatic tool. It's essentially like dropping a digital billboard in space and time. You can target people who are or were in a specific building or locale. Basically put a pin on a map, draw a circle around it, and say, serve ads to everybody in this circle, and you can determine the radius of that circle. So that's useful in a lot of different ways. We'll get into use cases a bit farther down during the discussion period. Search keyword, another way to put ads in front of folks. This is the criteria is their search behavior, right? So if they've recently looked for a specific word or phrase that's a good intent signal, HELOCs, home loans, whatever it is, you can put ads like the ones I've shown you in front of them. Now, this is a little bit different than search engine marketing because it's not happening at the time of search. We'll talk about search engine marketing in a moment. Lookalike audiences leverages your first-party data, so you can aggregate a pool of audience data of the people that are coming to your website and engaging with you. And you could take that data and use it as, essentially a mirror, right? And go out and find people online that behave similar to your audience and serve them ads, because it stands to reason. If they are similar to the audience that's already engaged with you, that would be a good way to expand your KEMA, which is a new acronym I learned, your known, engaged, marketable audience. And then last but not least is demographic intent contextual. So essentially, third-party data aggregators and vendors build profiles about us that talk about what we or reveal what we're interested in buying, what we read, what profession we're in, et cetera, and so forth. Then you can tap into that third-party data and advertise to people. And again, a lot of this is usually based on buyer intent signal, browsing, shopping, et cetera. When we're talking about marketing in really any capacity, it's useful to think of it in terms of where your audience is in the marketing funnel, right? Another recent terms I learned or kind of acronyms I learned that like top of funnel or tofu, bottom of funnel or bofu. So the different campaign types I just talked about, or so the targeting criteria I talked about, relate to different elements of the funnel. Geofencing, keyword, lookalike, demographic, contextual. All of those are designed to expand your audience, get you in front of net new folks, reach qualified prospects, and really ultimately just get them engaging with your website. Once you get them there, you can retarget them. So most people don't take a meaningful action on their first visit. So retargeting and email list matching fall a little bit farther down the funnel in the engagement or conversion components, because they're already on your website, they're giving strong intent signals by their behavior, or they're on your email list for some reason, right? They probably are a member already, usually in the context of credit unions. So unless you're buying lists. Thus sums up programmatic. Apologies if your heads are spinning. I promised this would be a breakneck pace. So we're going on to paid search now. And again, most of you are likely familiar with this, some clarifying vocabulary. You've got paid search and organic search here. So the idea is that paid search is I'm paying for the privilege of being the first thing someone sees when they put a keyword or phrase into a search engine. So you're basically paying to skip the line in a sense. Organic search is the action of making sure your website is optimized so it's the first thing that pops up that is not paid for, right? And I'll show some examples that will clarify this. Paid search is purchased on a pay-per-click basis. So unlike CPM advertising, which is based on how many ads you put in front of the users you're targeting, pay-per-click is you only pay when someone actually clicks on that ad that is shown to someone. So here's a couple of examples, right? Someone puts HELOC into a search engine. We can see that we've got Discover, we've got Figure, we've got Consumers Advocate. These are all ads. These are people bidding to be shown first when someone puts HELOC into, in this case, Google search. If we look below that, the organic ad is Investopedia. And actually the bottom paid ad and the top organic ad seem to be content, right? Basically geared towards helping people make an informed decision about HELOC. So that's the difference between paid and search. And they identify which is an ad and which is organic based on that little ad tag. So what makes this special? Well, you're essentially, especially depending on the level of intent of the search, putting your product, your offering in front of someone at the time that they're actually looking for it, right? So that's hugely valuable because you're basically hitting them at the time that they might be looking to make a decision about that, right? Additionally, you're only showing those ads to people who are looking for exactly the keywords and phrases that you have chosen to bid on. And that provides a lot of opportunity for optimization. You can segment, you can A/B test based on what's working and what isn't. There is a little bit of nuance here as far as the different types of keywords and phrases. I don't want to go into this in too great detail, but the idea of short tail and long tail keywords is important, I think, especially in the credit union space if you're going up against big banks and things like that. So short tail keywords are the most common search queries. HELOC, right? That's a short tail. They're basically kind of obvious. They are general. They're likely very competitive. And then long tail keywords would be a little bit more specific. You can test out a lot, but there's going to be lower search volumes. Also less competition, so you won't pay as much for it. So this is kind of a helpful visual, right? Search volume versus number of keywords and variations. Short tail keywords, there's higher search volume and there's less variation. Long tail keywords, there's less volume and more variation that you can do. So a couple of quick examples of this, right? What we are seeing here is a short tail. What are the best banks, right? Someone plugs that into a search engine. We can see the people that have bid on that search query, right? And it's TD Bank, it's Chime, it's Chase, right? So that is a 2-word keyword, likely very competitive. You're going to pay a lot to get that click. Now, on the flip side of that, you bid on best banks in Kansas City for young families, there is literally no one bidding on that. So you're not going to pay unless it shows and someone clicks on it. You're probably not going to get in front of as many folks, but that could be a really, really targeted and good ad to serve someone based on search engine. So that's the idea there. Like anything else, these function differently depending on the level of intent, in this case, determined by the keyword or phrase that someone's plugging in, right? So if it's just, good banks in my area, that's not we don't know if that person's looking to make a decision. Still worth getting in front of them and driving awareness about what your credit union offers. Best rates for auto loans, that's a pretty high intent signal, right? Someone is looking to get an auto loan or something like that. So it sort of relates to the funnel, the intent of the keyword. Challenges and limitations of this. Obviously, you can only serve the ads to people when they search for the keywords and phrases that you are bidding on. There is not a lot of opportunity for customization around the advertisements. It's text, right? So there's not a lot of aesthetic involved, but perhaps that is balanced by the fact that you can get in front of folks at a really decision-making time, right? High intent. And then the last and certainly not least, things that are very, very competitive are going to cost more, right? And you're going to be bidding against other organizations and trying to get that click. And it will cost more the more kind of people are trying to advertise to people looking for specific things. And that tends to be those short tail, those very generic things. You're going to have a lot of competition, and that means you're going to pay more for the click. That is a very quick overview of paid search. Last one is paid social, and this is going to be probably outdated by the time that we finish it. So some clarifying vocabulary. Paid social, that's paying to advertise on social media. You're paying to put ads in front of audiences based on various criteria. Organic is just the act of really posting content, right? You might put a white paper up there. You might put an event or something like that. You're not paying for it. You're putting it up, and your followers might see it and share it and like it and those kinds of things, right? So social media marketing is encompassed by both of those things. We're going to talk a little bit about the paid component. So here's our president advertising a webinar, similar content to this one on Facebook in this case, right? And you can see it's a sponsored post by Feathrr. Here's an ad for Cvent on LinkedIn. Again, this is in the stream, and you can see very clearly identified it's a promoted post. Couple of ads on Instagram. This is our president again, and then also Zenefit's HR platform. So just a couple of examples of the ways that these show up. There are different ways to target people on various social media platforms. If you're tapping into the social media platform, you are using their proprietary data, right? I'm pushing 40, so Facebook, I told them everything that I liked when I first signed on there back in college, so they know exactly who I am and what I like. That goes for pretty much every social media platform. They have a ton of proprietary data that you can use to target your ads to folks that have the right attributes, behaviors, and demographics. You can also use your first-party data on social media platforms, right? So if you have tracked an audience of people on your website, or people on your email list, you can take that data over to social media platforms and reach those folks while they're on the various social media platforms that they engage with. And then there's a lookalike component to this too, right? You can take your data, combine it with the proprietary data of the social platform, and use that to find people that are similar to your audience. And again, it stands to reason that those folks would be good prospects because they're similar to the folks that you are already engaged with. So again, like anything else, this touches various different components of the funnel, but here it's really the attribute, behavior, demographic, and lookalike are going to get you in front of net new folks, drive awareness to what should be good potential members, and then custom and matched audiences. Again, those are people that are already on your website or already on your email list. They should be a little bit farther down the funnel. So what makes social special? The ads tend to be very highly engaged, right? You get better click-through rates. Engagement overall is just better on social media platforms. You also have a lot more opportunity for different creatives and engaging advertisements. Just a couple examples: lead ads, carousels, stories. People can like and share and do things like that that are also beneficial. And you have lots of targeting options, right? The proprietary data that these platforms have on their users is expansive and can be very, very useful for helping you target the right person with the right message at the right time, which is really what we're all trying to do. So the challenges and limitations of social. It's complex. There's lots of different ones. It tends to be more expensive, and you're often operating with multiple different ad managers, right? So there are lots of nuanced targeting options, or lots of different size creatives and things that you can use, and things change a lot and they change quickly, hence my comment at the beginning of this. It also tends to be more expensive, but the juice is kind of worth the squeeze because your engagement tends to be better with this and you tend to get better results with it. So ultimately, the cost, yes, it'll be more, but you're going to get better results usually. And then the walled gardens, right? You're going to have to work within multiple different platforms. And I bet another one just started in the time that I've been talking, right? So you have to learn the nuances of every different ad manager, and you have to manage all of them separately, typically. Whew. All right, that was breakneck pace. I think we did it in 10, less than 50 minutes, certainly. You all are probably tired of hearing me talk. So next on the agenda is our panelists talking a little bit about how they got into digital. And Anita, would you be so kind as to kick us off here?
Sure. Thank you, Jeff.
My pleasure.
I'm Anita from Frankenmuth Credit Union. I'm the marketing director. Been here about 5 or 6 years. And I'll tell you how I started in the digital ad world. I just started working here and they said, "Hey, Anita, we have this great digital billboard." And I thought, where? And it was right across the street from the Starbucks that I frequent every day. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity. So I had this big board and I had this big message and it said, "Bank is a 4-letter word. Use credit union instead. Frankenmuth Credit Union." I thought it was genius. Apparently not everybody else did. My CEO, a couple days later, we got an email from an attorney representing someone who thought the message was disparaging. So he sent in the email a picture of the billboard, as if I wouldn't remember what the billboard was. But when I downloaded the picture, I looked, I saw a reflection of somebody. I did some legwork. I found that person, the reflection. She happened to, I saw her LinkedIn account. I found her Facebook. She worked at the bank down the street from where my billboard was located. So that's the story, hence geofence. That's the history, how it all started. I created a lat-long fence around her bank, included the front doors and the drive-through, and I served anyone who entered that bank and had a cell phone or a smartphone in their pocket using their significant location. I served them digital ads for about 30 days. And then maybe another 30 or 60 or 90 days after that. I just kept going. And with great success. Since then, we have taken the whole idea of digital fence and lat long and geofence. We've taken it way beyond. And Jeff spoke a little bit about the historical geofence. I think this is fascinating. We have a CUSO. It's an insurance CUSO. And one of the agents, a young gentleman, he has a son, he teaches, coaches hockey. Their team just won. And I said, oh, wait, when did you win? They won this big championship. So he said, oh, it's about a month ago. So I went into Feathrr. I looked at the calendar. I set it back a month when they performed or when they played and won that championship. And I was able to grab that audience that was sitting in that stadium the day they won that championship, and I served them ads. They were kind of clever. It was a picture of the agent, and it said, do you know this guy? He'll save you money on your insurance.
I love that so much. That is so great. I think it also kind of speaks to using, obviously the digital board is still a bit more of a traditional style, but you're now complementing that, right, with some digital engagement. And that is a really, really smart thing. So I love that. Amber, are you with us? I know you were having some power issues there. Are you available to jump in and talk a little bit about how you first jumped into digital? She's there, yay. All right, I'll go off screen.
The power
you're muted.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're all good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the power came back, thankfully. So all is well. I'm at First Community Credit Union in Houston, Texas, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Member Experience. And I've been here almost 18 years now, so long time. So I've seen a lot of how we've transformed in digital and where it started. And kind of like Jeff mentioned, digital is ever changing. So as soon as this webinar is done, 18 things will change, right? So we always have to be adapting and adjusting. Our, introduction into digital is way back when. We started with social media, and we got on Facebook and Twitter, and we thought we knew what we were doing, to be honest with you. But we quickly found out we really didn't know. We had to really dive into what works on the social platforms, and we product pushed a lot. And that's not what you do on social, or at least Facebook in particular. You don't do that because people don't react to that. It's more of an engagement and connecting with your members, your customers, people that just come on and follow you to get them to be a new member. And so we learned that very quickly, and we adjusted and adapted, and we kind of have a workflow now for social that is working quite well, actually. Anita talked about geofencing. We did move into the geofencing space, and I love, Anita, that you went around that one location to target people coming into another financial institution, and we've done that too. So somebody commented, all is fair in love and marketing. I completely agree with you on that. So we got into geofencing a bit, and we continue that some. But we really moved into a space where we didn't want to have what we call vanity metrics. Clicks are great, and they're clicking through, but you have to track it, and you have to track it to conversion. And that's really where we've landed, is everything we do, we want to see the conversion. We want to see an ROI from it, or be able to back into an ROI, so that we can show that what we're doing is working. And so we continue to learn digital every single day. I I will say, I know Jeff is with Feathrr, and we use Feathrr, and it has been phenomenal to see the conversions and see how many new loans, how many new memberships we're getting. So we are a big fan for that reason. It's very cost effective, and it has really worked for us. Really surprised on our first time getting results with Feathrr. We didn't know what to expect, and it blew us out of the water. So that's kind of our journey in digital. Of course, we do email mapping. We do, like I said, social where we started, but we also do the geofencing. And again, we just track to conversions.
I love that. Thank you for those kind words. And I think that's a really important element here too, right? The data you get behind this is better than any other sort of traditional channel that you could use, right? You're usually kind of making guesstimates or assumptions about various different channels. So yeah, that is great. I wanted to, you said you started on social, and certainly Anita, feel free to jump in here as well. Have you all started experimenting? I've talked with Anita about TikTok before. I'm pushing 40. I don't really know TikTok because I'm just not that cool, but like I know people are jumping into it. So we don't have to talk specifically about TikTok, but are there any other social channels that you all have experimented with that have been good, have been bad? You're still learning. Feel free to jump in here.
Yeah, we're on Instagram as well. That platform is still growing for us. And one thing we've done, I will say, with social, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Those are our 4 main platforms right now. TikTok, I'm with you. I'm not as cool. I don't really know. I know about it, but I don't know about it. You know what I mean? We are looking into that right now, and we're trying to get our CIO to say okay to us going on TikTok. You know, it's video content, and that's another thing that we are ramping up in our credit union is video. Video is where it's at. People get lost in video. I go on YouTube, and then an hour later, I'm like, what have I been doing? And how many videos did I watch? Because you get wrapped up in it. And so everything we do is really pushing video now. But yeah, we're on Instagram, and we're digging into Reels now. But Anita, I'm not sure, are you on TikTok?
Yes, actually, we just started TikTok. And I tell you, we have these round tables with the marketing department, and we know there is an audience who is not on Facebook, and a younger generation in particular. And if you want to talk to them, you have to find them, and they're on TikTok. In fact, we know TikTok last year alone clocked more visits than Google. Their platform is growing. It's amazing. So we just started. We started with the trends. We learned some tricks. I'll tell you, if you keep your video less than the 7 seconds, you have a better impression rate. Like I said, we've only been up for about 2 weeks. We have 5 videos. We have over 20,000 views on these videos. Incredible. We follow the trends. So maybe we're not so original, but we just did one yesterday. I'll tell you quickly how it went. We have these interactive teller machines. So we had one of the staffers, he was the face inside the screen, and he says, hi, how can I help you? Is there anything else I can help you with? And then we use the Bradley Cooper scene from A Star is Born, and he rolls down the window and he says, nah, I just wanted to take one more look at you. And then you see our ITM operator go like, shocked. Well, guess what? We just launched it and we have over 1,000 views on it. That's amazing. But you talk about getting lost. That's the reaction people are having with TikTok. They're getting lost in these quick, videos. So yes, we're not TikTok influencers. I get it. The Biden administration isn't going to call us to the White House to talk about TikTok, but at least we're trying. Like I said, I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's another element of digital that is so, I don't know, attractive, right? You can test, you can do different things, you can change things midstream, right? It offers so much opportunity for seeing if things are successful, and if they're not, you can pivot, right? You can do it quickly, and that's another really great thing of a digital. I was in print for 10 years before I came to Feathrr, right? And I still think there's a good place for print, but it doesn't offer the flexibility, the elasticity, the ability to make and change and kind of optimize things. So Greg, how are we looking on like questions? Are we overwhelmed? Can we keep chatting a little bit? What do you think?
We do have a couple, but I think we have some time. So if you want to take some questions, we do have a few. If you want to chat some more, that's up to you, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just going to ask like one more question for Amber and Anita. You know, some of the things that we talked about, geofencing, obviously, is more top of funnel. Are there any things that like you, and certainly social is more top of funnel? What are kind of the primary drivers for engagement and conversion for you all? Have you seen some things, you know, kind of function better in that capacity, I guess, as far as getting people to take action?
I mean, I can jump in. So we see a lot of success with emails, member emails in particular, and we're starting to do prospecting emails as well, to reach, non-members and get them to join the credit union. But we have really high, again, I'm going to use some vanity metrics, but open rate, click-through rate. I mean, our open rate is on average between 25 and 30% on our emails. And so it's very effective for our members. And then the other thing we've seen a lot of success with, again, is Feathrr is a big part of what we're seeing success with, of getting those conversions in and really being able to back into, did they take a loan, did they open a membership? So that's a big part of our success as well.
I'll agree, Amber. Email has come back to us. We stopped and we kind of, tailored off a little bit, but during COVID, we went back to the email. We use Salesforce. We do the journeys and the collections using the loan due date triggers and all of that. But I went back to MailChimp and created the one-offs. You talk about open rate. The average open rate for a credit union is 17%. So 25, 30% is amazing. We use Radin Integrator. We download these very articulated lists, and then we send a bespoke message to that articulated audience. So I love the idea of email. I will tell you with Feathrr though, and I don't know if you saw this, Jeff, but I just tried your very first single send. So I took my entire audience, about 60,000 email addresses, and I sent them a simple marketing message. It wasn't advertising, it was marketing, sort of a brand image kind of email. I collected that email database. I know who opened, I know who reacted with it using Feathrr. And so now I will send a smart send email. So I have that audience, and now I'm going to watch. We run a website that is WordPress, a WooCommerce, sort of very similar, like a shopping cart. So I will watch if someone puts a product and hits the get it and goes to a loan app, or if someone takes the product and adds it to their wish list, similar to like a J.Crew or a Nordstrom site. I will watch the conditional logic, and depending on their action, I will serve them a single send email that says, oh, you didn't open the account? Well, here's the button. Follow through with the application kind of thing. So I'm excited to get that rolling. We've never done that. And from what I saw is we can send, when they interact with my website, I can send that email within 5 minutes. That's amazing.
Well, and I think that's so important, right? Because there's a lot of strike while the iron is hot in this kind of advertising, right? And that's sort of a good thing and a bad thing, because if you don't hit people when their attention is primed, you might have to work really hard to get it back, right? So again, good thing about digital, you can get in front of people quickly. It also is set expectations that like you've got so much time to get your message in front of me, otherwise I'm on to the next thing. And I think that's also reflected in that TikTok thing, right? It's got to be a shorter video, otherwise you're going to lose people. So Greg, it sounds like we should jump into questions now. So we'll let you kick it off.
We have quite a few, Jeff, and a couple of them relate to privacy issues and blocking. One question is, as the adoption of tracker blocking tech is adopted by browsers like Firefox and Safari, and by people through blocker apps like Privacy Badger, Redmorph, it's clear that people do not like to be tracked. How do you avoid from being put in the cyber creepy field when advertising?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think what we have witnessed at Feathrr, sorry for jumping in, Amber, Anita, you can jump in and lend your expertise here too, but what we've witnessed is usually about, I think after 6 months, our our credit unions can reach about 60% of the audience that they track on their website. So they're getting to more than half. That goes up or down depending on probably your demographics, right? Some people may not have the digital savvy to use ad blockers, some may not care. But you are absolutely right that privacy is becoming a bigger issue, something to surmount. And I think that's where a lot of the discussion around the death of the cookie and what's next and those sort of things. So I think a lot of digital advertising is moving towards this sort of blinded type of advertising where you can advertise to people. Google just did away with Federal League of Cohorts, or said they're not going to do that anymore. But the idea is that you could anonymously put ads in front of folks based on various other third-party data. I don't think it's going to go away, but it's certainly going to change, right? Because people are getting a little bit more discerning about how you can reach them, right? Currently, it's still pretty darn effective, but I agree that it's moving. On the compliance front, I will just add that still right now in the US, unless you're in California, it still seems to be, we don't really care about your data privacy, but I expect that to change because I think we can all see where the winds are blowing. From a GDPR standpoint, because we have a lot of international folks on here, we've guided dozens of organizations to compliance, and you've all probably seen this now. Even solely US-based organizations are putting the cookie notification, can you accept, do you want to control what we track and those kind of things. And I think that's a good idea for any organization to get out in front of that. And the other thing is just stay abreast of all the changes and the updates that are coming with that, and do your best to kind of prepare for it.
We do that, we recognize GDPR because of the fact that we're international, and so we always ask people when they come to our site if we can track them. But we don't, when it comes to like marketing and when you're going out, because we have a question from Barry who's in Europe, and he says, GDPR, obviously individuals can guard their privacy, so any unsolicited approach in using digital can render the credit union guilty of an offense under GDPR. So how would any of you, I guess, recommend credit unions use digital marketing to stay within the structures of that law? And as you mentioned, California's privacy law is kind of modeled after GDPR. So that's one state, but it could be coming to others.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll speak and then I'll let Amber and Anita jump in. What we typically take our clients through once they're doing specifically programmatic advertising is where we're usually helping folks. So people come to the website, you're going to ask them if we can track you. Overwhelmingly, people just kind of say yes. It's the Apple terms and service, right? They just go whatever. But some people do go in there and they say absolutely not, or they'll customize what you're allowed to track, what you're allowed to do. So there are some specific updates to privacy policy. There are some widgets or things that you can put on your website to make sure that pop-up comes up to keep you compliant. And once you have given your audience that opportunity to determine it, you're compliant from a programmatic standpoint, and specifically with retargeting if it's about the website. Now on email, obviously there's constraints there too, right? You need people's permission to email them, and you need to be able to give them the opportunity to opt out of that. That spills over into the text messaging and things like that. So my main knowledge base is around the retargeting and the programmatic element. Anita, Amber, I don't know if you experience this much because you're based in the US, but is this something that has come up for you all?
I'll speak, like I said, I just ran that single send email, and I asked over and over again to your support, very nice young man, Jose. I kept saying, are you sure we're keeping track of opt-outs? Because I will tell you something on this end, if I send an email and that list from Salesforce to our base to MailChimp has not been updated with those opt-outs, and somebody gets it, my call center sends me 15 emails. Anita, you sent it to him again. He didn't want it. Why'd you send it to him? Okay, so that was my biggest concern, is the opt-outs. Is there a way to track the opt-outs from this single send, because we're using a new platform, and then I would have to go in and let our base know they have opted out of emails. So yes, we have to be compliant. As for the messaging and this site accepts, has cookies, it hasn't come our way yet.
Yeah, and I'll mimic Anita, same thing on the email. We are very cognizant of that opt-out list, and we want to make sure that we are honoring their request to opt out. and that's across the board. So whether it's through our email platform, we do have a vendor or a partner that's an MCIS type system, and they send emails on our behalf. So it's like, you got to make sure these people are opted out. So just making it consistent. As far as cookies on the website, we do have a message on our website. Do you agree to cookies? Most people, like you said, they just click and move on, and it's not a big deal.
Got a few more questions here. Rachel wants to know, she says, knowing people get lost in the social videos, does it actually relate to conversions of some sort, or is it just another vanity metric that relates more to engagement, brand awareness? What are your overall goals for those newer social media platforms? I'm sure she's talking about things like TikTok here.
I'll speak to that. No, we're not looking to send someone to the loan application form. I think it's all about brand and image. Like I said, we used the Bradley Cooper. We did the Celine Dion challenge. We did the, we're working on one with the Pup Cup. So it's all about brand and image. It is vain, yes. Am I looking for conversions? Absolutely not.
And Anita, related to that, there's another question. Robert wants to know, do you have a TikTok for business account or a regular TikTok account? He says, I hear TikTok for business is very limited when it comes to video creation.
And we've only done the consumer side, but oh, come on, the business side has accounts we could imitate on TikTok. We could make a video about. Sure. And the thing is follow the trends. We've noticed that if you're using a trend, the sound or the audio, the video, that is so popular at the time, and like Jeff said, it changes quickly. If you jump on that, you're better off being seen, more likely to be seen, more likely to have more impressions. But we can try. We'll try business. We'll try insurance. Maybe trust services. That would be a little tough, but we'll try it.
I think he was speaking more to the. I think you can, if I went on there and created my own account, it would be a personal account. But like an entity like yours or ours, we can go on and create a business account. And I don't know personally what the difference is there. Yeah.
We created the business account so that we can eventually boost those posts. I think the limit is $50. You can't do less than $50. I know Facebook has a similar kind of boost process, but yes, you want to create a business account so that you can boost the post. I would never create a personal account. You want it to run under the identity and brand of the credit union.
Got it. Thank you.
I was gonna. Oh, may I piggyback really quickly? Yeah.
Ahead,
so, on the sort of awareness front, or are you getting vanity metrics around social and things? It probably depends a lot on the type of platform that you're using, right? Again, in my knowledge of TikTok is limited, but if there's an opportunity for someone to engage with your video and then get redirected to your website, that actually could provide you with some. If you're tracking appropriately, you could track the source of that person coming to the website. Do they look at my mortgage rates? Do they look at a checking and savings account? And then you could continue to engage with those folks if you're going to retarget them, or if you're fortunate enough to have their email, you could shoot them an email. So I think it's kind of the interplay between the various channels that you're leveraging that can allow you to take things that are more tofu, top of funnel, and track that you are driving, more awareness, you're driving folks to your website, and then focus and drill down on the people who are really engaged, anywhere from the range of, hey, I started and didn't complete an application, but you originally got that person there from maybe a Facebook or an Instagram or a TikTok or whatever the original source of that was. With the right kind of tracking in tech, you can see that, hey, my awareness is actually getting people there and engaged, and I'm able to continue to engage them via other channels and ultimately move them through a conversion process. But I think it is really smart to hedge expectations around the fact that top of funnel campaigns are not going to get you an instant loan. That's not how buyer behavior works, right? But you can drive people to demonstrate some level of interest and then appropriately bucket those people and continue to engage with them afterwards. And that's where you could potentially see those awareness things turn into conversions, but it's probably going to be a longer road. That's all I was going to say there. Amber, you want to jump in?
I agree with that, with Jeff on that. We actually do use dedicated web links to track traffic back to our website. whether it's with social, obviously we're not on TikTok yet, but we have pre-roll videos out there, and if they happen to click on it, that's not a ton. But on social in particular, if they click on a post to learn more, we're going to see them come into the website. And then we have personalization on our website. So now they're in a funnel on our website that, hey, you came to the auto page. The next time you visit our website, you're going to see a auto banner on the home page, and it'll change based on the products they're looking at. And so that's been effective as well.
We have someone who has a question about LinkedIn. They said, I'd love to hear more about your LinkedIn strategy. Is it any different in how you approach other channels? That's really for either of you, Amber and Anita.
I mean, I can jump in on that. Yes, it's a different strategy completely. What we do with LinkedIn is we show different things. So if we're hiring, obviously we're going to post on LinkedIn. But anything we do around employee appreciation or just what we do for our employees, for example, we bring in food trucks to some of our locations to say it's Food Truck Friday, because it's always a Friday. And so here's the Food Truck Friday, and we show that we're bringing this on site to show how we appreciate our employees and how great of a place it is to work. We also share community. We do a lot of community involvement and giving back to the community, which is huge for us. And so we post those things out there too of we were out somewhere packing lunches for a food bank or to help children, especially during the summer. There's a lot of children who are on the free lunch program with their school. They don't get that in the summer. And so we want to show, hey, this is what we're doing in our community. And so that's kind of our strategy there. And we also have different strategies around Twitter and Facebook. Obviously, Twitter is more of an information-based platform. So we've got more educational and just information, quick to the point. Facebook's where we get with the fun stuff of videos and different things like that.
Awesome. Anita, are you doing anything on LinkedIn currently?
We don't do much on LinkedIn, mostly employment. We do promote anything awards we've won, which obviously helps with employment. We were just in a broadcast of the world's greatest on Bloomberg TV. We had that on LinkedIn. But no, we don't approach LinkedIn as heavy. In fact, we kind of discourage our staff from being too much on LinkedIn for privacy concerns.
Interesting. Okay,
Interesting, yeah. It's interesting because as an international trade association, we find a lot of engagement on LinkedIn, but it's different for every business, right? Because you're a public consumer-facing organization primarily, and so I would imagine that's quite a bit different.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Greg. We work with nonprofits, fundraising, donation-based organizations, professional trade associations. It seems to be very hit or miss. Like some specific professional associations are really successful on LinkedIn. Healthcare practitioners, there tends to be a lot of engagement there. But if you go into another industry, sometimes it's just not very effective at all. And I think you've hit the nail on the head when you're trying to get to a consumer and get them to do their banking, more of their wealth management and what have you with you. This is not a knock at LinkedIn because I know it does amazing things for folks, but I just don't know that it's necessarily the most effective space. Certainly great for employment. I will second that. Yeah, interesting.
One thing that a couple questions about TikTok have come up since it's been such a hot topic here, so I just want to address those quickly. Lorraine had pointed out that, and I can't verify this, but this is what she's pointing out, that the difference for TikTok business accounts is the use of licensed music for advertising. And then Anita, maybe you can clear this up. Somebody has had a question about, were there any, you mentioned Bradley Cooper, were there any legal or are there any legal considerations when using a celebrity without their consent on TikTok? And I don't know if you actually used Bradley Cooper or somebody did the Bradley Cooper line, I guess.
Nope, it is in TikTok. Remember, you can use the trend. So somebody else is using it and it always gives credit to that original trend. So it gave credit to Bradley Cooper. But no, I didn't call Bradley himself, though that would have been nice. I did not call him and ask for his permission.
Got it. Question for Amber. You talked about moving away from pushing products on organic social. Have you found ways to integrate products with more feel-good community posts?
That's a great question. Yes, we have. And so we restructured how it's presented. So there's still product tie-ins, but it has a more friendly feel to it. And maybe it's not just, hey, come get an auto loan with us, or auto rates are as low as. It's like, hey, heading out on a summer vacation, prefer to drive than fly. Check, we can get you in a new vehicle. It's something along those lines. So it's just prefaced differently than a straightforward product push. And that works, but we still try to keep it to a minimum. So we do a number of product pushes, but we have fun things like Facts Friday with random facts you would never know. And people really engage with that. Or Water Cooler Wednesday with a random question to get more engagement. And so those are really fun too. So it's not all product based, but there's little tie-ins to it.
Jim wants to know if any credit union colleagues have checked out SIM card banking. He said it's got outstanding direct contact. He said we find social media has high velocity and attention spans are limited. By having SIM card use, you have unlimited communications. I'm not familiar with this, but I don't know if any of you are.
The new one to me. I wish I could say it. Anita, Amber?
No, I'm not familiar.
Got it. All right. Well, that's maybe something for all of us to look at a little bit. Another question. Yeah, for sure. Any question just in general about tracking issues? Have you had tracking issues you have overcome recently with any platforms that you use?
I can jump in here. So Feathrr's had to help a lot of its credit union clients and the rest of our clients as well integrate tracking across the loan application software and cores are the primary one in credit union space, and some of our other spaces, it's association management software, it's registration vendors and things like that. That can be really, really tricky depending on that third-party software vendor that you are working with. Some are great and they want to empower their customers to get the data and the analytics that they need to be able to see that, yes, my marketing is driving people to complete an application, and therefore I can, as Amber said, sort of back into an ROI or a conversion value and see what the investment is doing for us. Some are not so great. Some don't want to play ball, and I'm not entirely sure why, because at least from where we're sitting, it's not a ton of work. Where most credit unions get stymied is someone clicks on apply now on the website, and that user migrates away to a different digital property that is not owned by the credit union. It's usually owned by loan application software. It is the work of maybe 15 or 20 minutes to put tracking on the back end of those pages. 99 times out of 100, we deploy it via Google Tag Manager, and it just goes on the header or the footer and allows you to see that, hey, I moved someone into very bottom of the funnel, right? They're starting an application. Unfortunately, there are literally thousands of people starting and not completing applications. So being able to see that is usually pretty darn straightforward if you can get that third-party software vendor to say, sure, I'll put tracking on the back end of it. It doesn't require an API, it doesn't require an integration. It's a simple snippet of JavaScript, normally deployed by Google Tag Manager. But some are more willing to do that than others. But it's a really crucial element that really touches the bottom of the funnel, BOFU, right? If I can see the people who are starting and not completing applications, I can email, I can retarget them, I can engage with them and say, come back, you almost got there. And I mean, I refinanced a home 2 years ago. I probably started, this is gonna make everybody on here sick, but I probably started and didn't complete probably about 6 applications. And it's just too easy. You could jump off in the middle. There's no social pressure. So I'm not going to name specific names, right? As far as different entities, but some entities are better than others at helping you and being a good partner and helping you get the data and analytics you need to be able to advertise to application abandoners and track the fact that your marketing is moving people through to completion. Sorry, that was a soapbox. Anita, Amber, I'm going to pipe down now.
We've just got a few minutes, but go ahead, Anita and Amber.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I totally agree. If it takes less than a minute to add that script to the header of a website, and once they leave my website and go into that application or that map site, I don't know what happens to them. I don't know if they fall off unless that script is loaded in that header. So it's very important to get your third parties all in on the plan.
And I agree completely. The only issue that I have seen and dealt with is that you can have that tracking on the page, and it's tracking them coming in through that application, but they don't finish it. But instead of, you know, looking at the email they get to say, hey, come back, and clicking from there so it continues to track, they'll just navigate to our website one off, and they'll go into an application and just start a brand new one. So sometimes there's looking at 2 different reports to compare them and match them up. Few and far between go that route, but it happens. I don't think I've cautioned everyone.
I'd just like to say I personally learned a new term today, which is application abandoners. So thanks, Jeff, for that. I'll be sure to float that to my local credit union that I'm a member of, so which I'm sure I've done to them. Well, thanks everybody, Jeff. This has been really educational. Any last words you'd like to put out there?
I would sit here and talk about this stuff all day, but I'm sure you all have lots and lots of stuff on your plate. If you want to learn more about Feathrr, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is on there, but you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, be thrilled to talk a little bit about your digital strategy and if we can help you.
Great. Well, Jeff, Anita, Amber, thanks so much. If you like this event and you want to watch it again, or you want others to see it, I know somebody just messaged in that they want to show it to their board, you can refer them to the World Council YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Woku. The presentation will be up there later today. And if you like this presentation and you're looking for more international credit union focused education, join us in Glasgow, Scotland for the 2022 World Credit Union Conference. That is going to be held from July 17th to the 20th. We'll all be there, well, at least I'll be there, and all of our folks from World Council and many of our credit unions from around the world and credit union associations. It's going to be July 17th to the 20th in Glasgow. You can register right now by visiting wcuc.org. That's wcuc.org. We would love to see you there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.